This is the BougeRV portable cooler that's also a refrigerator and also a freezer. This portable fridge has two independently controlled zones, claims that it can reach freezer-like temperatures, and can even be controlled by your phone. Full disclosure, BougeRV sent this to me in exchange for this review. Today I'm testing how quickly this thing cools, how much it holds, how loud it is, and how easy the app really is to use, among a bunch of other things. This cooler can also run on AC, so you can plug it into the wall. It also runs on DC, so you can plug it into the lighter ignition of your vehicle, or you can buy a separate solar panel and run this thing from the sun. As you're watching the video, please do me a favor, don't forget to hit like on the video, and if you want to grab one of these, there is a link in the description below. When they sent this, they were out of stock of the batteries. Now, the listing that this is under does include the battery. However, I don't have the battery today. I'm going to talk about the battery. I'm going to show you how to install it, where it goes, but I won't be able to do any actual testing of the battery. What I will be able to test are using the app, finding out how fast this thing actually gets cold, and how cold can we get the freezer part. How easy is this thing to wheel around or carry around, cooling speed, temperature accuracy, noise level, dual zone performance, and portability. First, let's talk design, portability, and capacity. The design of this thing is super rugged. I mean, it is heavy duty. It's not light, but I have no problem picking it up and setting it up on this high table so that you can see it. But it does take a little bit of oomph. And if it's completely full, especially if it's full with bottles of water or cans of soda, then it can become very heavy. Luckily, it has some rugged wheels and it has a retractable handle. Gaining access to the handle is as simple as pushing forward on both sides and then pulling out. And there's your handle. And there's two different heights, so if you're shorter, this might be good, but if you're taller, you might want it a little bit longer. To find out exactly how much it weighs, I got my trusty luggage scale, and as you can see, it is about 43 pounds, 43.5. Sorry for the glare, but that's what it says. It also has two heavy-duty handles on each side, and these are spring-loaded, so they don't come all the way up, but what they do is they open just enough so that you can fit your fingers under there comfortably when you're lifting this thing up. On the top, there are little grooves that I think are great for setting down your drink, and it'll prevent it somewhat from sliding around because there are divots in the top. We also have dual lids. So this is generally going to be the side that you want to keep colder. So this would be your freezer side, and this side over here would be your refrigerated side. Now you can have both of these be the same temperature if you like to, but the general idea is that one would be for colder items and one would be for less cold items. One very handy feature, especially if you're using this for camping and it's dark, is that when you open these up, there's a light on the freezer side and on the refrigeration side, which makes seeing what you're doing much easier. If you'd like to have the lids open in different directions, you can easily change the direction of either one. So you could have one open this way while the other one opens from the other side, or you can do what I have it here, where they both open the same way. And to do that, all you're gonna do is lift this up. You're going to get this perfect angle and lift up. And now the outer edge of the refrigerator one will actually just slide out once you get to that perfect level, which is right there. And to put it back in, you simply, the other side doesn't have the ledge, so you simply put that little tab into the hole, and then you try to find that perfect angle again, and you're good to go. Each compartment has a basket inside, and what I like about this is if you have this outside somewhere and you want to load up the basket, you can fill this up with food or cans in your kitchen and then come outside to wherever the party is and simply drop it into place, which makes it a lot easier to move things around. In case you're cleaning this out or you accidentally have a spill, there is a drain in the bottom of the refrigerator, so you can just pop this open and all the liquid will drain out through the bottom. To clean this, just use a warm, wet rag. On the back side of the refrigerated cooler, this is where the battery's gonna go. So to open this up, you just pull down on these two tabs and your battery can go right into place. Now, if you're gonna be using the solar panel option, all you're gonna do is if you see this little yellow cover right here, you'll peel that off and you'll plug the solar panel into that. And you don't have to keep this thing open. You can actually run the wire right through this tab here, which opens up conveniently for the wire to come through. If you're plugging this into a wall, the DC outlet is right here at the bottom. This simply lifts up. You take your cable, plug it into the unit, and then plug that other end into the wall. To run this through your vehicle, just find the DC inlet and then insert the DC adapter into the slot, and you will be good to go. The control panel is right here on the front. It only has 4 buttons, and you can do everything using only these 4 buttons. However, I highly recommend that you download the app, and they give you the QR code right here to download that app, because you can control everything, I think, much easier from the app. Turn the unit on using the control panel, simply hit the power button. Then you control the temperature by hitting the plus or minus button. If you want to switch between compartments, you have to hit the plus or minus arrow so that that number begins flashing like this, and then you hit the control button and the other side will start flashing. Then you can adjust the temperature for that side. But like I said, this is much easier to do using the app. Now let's talk capacity. If you're putting soda cans or any kind of cans in the R side, which is the freezer side, I found that standing them up is a challenge. So if you've stacked this thing all the way with cans, I had trouble getting the lid to close. So as you can see in my car here, I have these all laid down and I can fit 6, but I have to lay them flat. Now, if you're going to use the other side, you can fit way more. And to give you an idea of how much you can fit, everything that you can fit inside of this basket, as long as it doesn't come too high over the top, you're gonna have no problem. Imagine going tailgating or camping or having a little party and never having to go to the store or the gas station to grab big bags of ice, throw down and crush it on the ground. You don't have to worry about that with this, because this will keep everything cold without ice. That's one of the things I love about it. Also, if you're having a big party at your house and you have a lot of food and you run out of room in your refrigerator, having this on hand is great. You can keep extra food and drinks cold outside of your regular refrigerator. The other really great use for this is where I live in the summertime, it's extremely hot. I think today it's over 100 degrees. So when we go grocery shopping, by the time we get home, if we bought especially like ice cream or something, it's melted. But when we have this in the car, we can put all of our frozen items in here. We can put anything else that we want to keep cool in this side. When we get home, everything is still fresh. To make everything easier for you, right over here, if you're putting food in this side, they have listed out what temperature you should set this to for different types of food, like meat, frozen food, seafood, veggies, cooked food, water, canned drinks, fruits, soft drinks, and other drinks. Now, of course, if you plug this into the wall, you can just leave it running for as long as you like. However, if you use the battery, how much life do you get? Well, they say you're going to get between 20 and possibly up to 28 hours, depending on how cold you have this running. So the colder you have it running, obviously the less battery power you're going to get. If you have this running on the battery, or if you have it plugged into your car, there are settings that you can put. You can put this on max for it'll get as cold as possible, or you can put it on eco mode, which is what I recommend if you want this to last as long as possible when using either your car battery or the battery that you can shove into the back. Now let's take a look at the BougeRV app. Now the listing says that the app will work from up to 32 feet away from the unit. Now I didn't measure out 32 feet exactly, but I did find as I had this turned on, I could walk anywhere in my house and still stay connected. Now it's a Bluetooth connection, so as long as most Bluetooth devices will go within range is what I would expect. For the most part though, I was using the app from probably 20 feet away and it worked with no problem. This is what the app looks like, and as you can see, you can control each compartment separately. You can set the temperature separately. You can change from eco mode to max mode. You can turn off the sound from the unit so it doesn't beep when you change the temperature. And adjusting the temperature is as easy as pressing an up or down arrow. From the app, you can also turn off one or more sections. So here, I'm going to turn off the large compartment. See, now that's off. And if I want to turn off the small compartment, I simply click the power button. The temperature on the app will change in real time according to the temperature on the device. So you always know when your food is ready to be put in. In order to save enough battery power in your car or vehicle, you can switch between low, medium, and high battery protection modes. They recommend keeping it on medium. That way, if your battery is getting low in your car, for example, it'll shut the cooler off so that you have enough power left in your battery to start your car. You You can also switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius, and you can update your firmware all from the app. Next, we're going to use an infrared thermometer to find out how fast this gets cold. So what I'm going to do is measure the temperature in the room, and we're indoors. It's about 72 to 73 degrees. Then we're going to open these up. I'm going to scan the temperature inside of each one, and then I'm going to turn this thing on. And we're going to see how long it takes for these to get super cold. Before turning the unit on, I wanted to see what the temperature was to start. So when we first open this up, it's 73 degrees in both compartments. So that's our starting point. Then I'm going to turn this unit on and let it run for 20 to 30 minutes before we do the next test. For the temperature test, I use an infrared gun and I measured the house. It said 71.5 degrees. Then I set the thermostat to -4 for this one. And when we test it, it is -17.5 and 12.9 in the lid. And the large compartment got all the way to 23.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So this thing is working very well, and that took about 20 minutes only. After we completed the temperature test, my wife and I went out of the house. I turned this thing off completely, and we left for 4 hours. When I came back, I decided to test it again, just to see how cold these would stay when it's completely powered off, having not opened the tops. And here were the results. After having this completely shut off for 4 straight hours and the house is 71 degrees, this maintained 66.6 degrees, and the large compartment maintained 66.7 degrees. So this thing is very well insulated. I decided to do another temperature test, so I set the small compartment at -4 degrees, and I wanted to see exactly how long it would take to reach -4 degrees. And the answer is about 21 minutes. And here's the test. After 21 minutes, set at -4 degrees Fahrenheit, I took my thermometer again, I tested the temperature of the wall in the house, and that was 71.2 degrees. Now let's see the temperature after 21 minutes in the small compartment when I had it set to -4 degrees. And the answer is -39.5 degrees. That's chilly. Keep in mind that this is measuring the surface temperature of the cooler, not the air inside, hence the difference in measurements. One of the features that really makes the BougeRV stand out from traditional electric coolers is that you have the choice to refrigerate in both zones. You could freeze in both zones. You could have one freeze, you could have one refrigerate, or you can completely shut down a side and only have one side running if you don't have enough stuff to fill up both sides. Next, we're going to do a noise test to find out how loud this unit is. And here's a spoiler alert. The air conditioner in my home is much louder than this, but let's go to see exactly how many decibels this thing puts out. In order to test the sound accurately, I'm going to use a decibel meter. And right now we're going to get a reading of the decibels in my house without the unit turned on. As you can see, it's about 40, 41, and that's because of the air conditioning running, which is pretty loud. Now that we have a base reading of 41 with a quiet house and the machine is on, let's see how much it adds to the decibels. And as you can see, it only adds like 3 decibels more than what my air conditioning sounds. So in a quiet room, this thing is very quiet. The microphone that I've been using has noise cancellation, so I've now turned that off so that you can actually hear exactly how this unit sounds. I'll be quiet and listen. And as you can see, it is very, very quiet. Next, I have a plug-in watt meter. So I'm going to plug that into the wall. Then we're going to plug this unit into the watt meter to see exactly how many watts this thing is actually using when it is at full capacity. When first turning on the unit, you can see that the wattage is 32.2. And after letting this run for almost 20 minutes, the wattage is 56.7. Now let's talk pros and cons. One of my favorite pros is the dual zone control. So having the ability to have 2 different temperatures in 2 different compartments or having one completely shut off is fantastic. There's also a very wide temperature range. You could have it go from light cooling like you would for fruits or vegetables all the way to freezing. So if you have ice cream or popsicles, you can keep those outside in the heat and they'll stay frozen. I also love the rugged wheels and the telescoping handle. I wheeled this thing over some really bumpy gross gravel, and it wheeled with no problem. I love that there's a battery option. I love that there's a solar option. I love that you can plug this into your car if you want to, and I love that you can plug it into the wall. The next pro are these baskets. So just making it so much easier to pull things in or out, load this up, take it over here and drop it inside. And of course, inside, the lights. When you're using this thing at nighttime, having those lights is just a relief because you can open it up, it glows, you can easily see what you're reaching for. My next pro is how quiet this thing is. When I first got this, I was expecting it to be annoyingly loud, but once I plugged it in, I had to make sure it was actually running because it's very smooth and quiet. Another pro is that it's got a built-in bottle opener right here. And my final pro is that I love the look of this thing. I think it looks really cool. Also, something I forgot to mention, there are little strap grooves on the edges of this. So you could potentially put a big strap through this and have like a shoulder harness, or you can use this to strap it down to your car or your truck so that it doesn't happen to slide around. Now let's talk about cons or possible limitations. I will say one thing is the weight. This thing is fairly heavy to move around, especially if it's filled with food and drink and you're trying to pick this up into your car. Luckily, it has those wheels, so you only have to set it down for a second, and then once you pick up the wheels, it's easy to pull around regardless of the weight. Another limitation, at least for me, is that right now I need to plug this into either my car or into the wall because I do not have the battery. So once I get the battery, then I will be much happier because it'll be a lot easier to just throw this in the back of your car, go get groceries, and not have to worry about plugging anything in. Another con is the interior space. And the reason I say that, and the thing is it's necessary, because here you have the entire refrigeration and freezer unit, so you have to have space for that. That's why this section doesn't go down as deep. The freezer section, well, I call it that, but it could also be the refrigerator section, and that could be the freezer section. But the smaller section is limited in space. It's only this big, but it has to be because below it is the refrigeration unit, and there's this entire compartment where the battery will go when you have a battery. And my final limitation is the distance control with the app, but that's just because it uses Bluetooth. So Bluetooth, if you get far enough away, you might break the connection. But for me, if I'm tailgating, if I'm out in my backyard, if I'm anywhere in my house, I find the connection is just fine, and that's good enough for me. So who is this for? Well, I would say anybody who wants to have control, a refrigeration section, a freezer section, anyone who goes camping, anyone who does tailgating, has parties, needs just an extra space to keep cold food when you're having dinner parties. If you have an RV, or, and I didn't even think of this before, if there's a power outage and you have the battery and or the solar panel, you can keep your food edible. Because if you don't have something like that and the power goes out, everything in the fridge is gonna be no good. I will say that I have enjoyed every aspect of creating this video. This is one of my favorite products that a company has ever sent to me to create a video for, and I'm very happy to have this. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it. And if you'd like to grab one of these, there's a link in the description below. Please do me a favor, hit like on this video. Let me know if you have any questions about the BougeRV, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.